Hey, my name is Jason Caddy, and I am so glad that you have joined me right here on episode 1 of the Pastor's Notebook. Listen, this is a brand new thing. This is where we learn, this is where we grow, and this is where we go forward together in ministry and in life. And so if you're new here, which would be pretty much every one of you since this is the first episode, then I'm glad you're here, and I'm hoping that you will come back. This is going to be a great time. It's just something that I've wanted to do for a while. Other people have encouraged me to do it for a while, so I am so excited about what the opportunities are going to be as we continue to move forward. You can get the latest and greatest episode every single Tuesday, and I would love for you to make sure that you subscribe, rate, review, share, whatever you got to do with everybody else that you can find, because this is going to be, once again, the place where we learn together, where we grow together, and where we go together as we move forward in life and in ministry in the days ahead. So it's going to be a great time. Please make sure you share it with somebody. So episode 1, right? That's where we're at. Episode 1 sounds like a Star Wars reference to me. But a lot of people are going to be at the very beginning. Why in the world do this? It seems like everybody's doing this. So why in the world do we need to add another one? Well, this is my opinion. You will find out all sorts of different things about me, my preferences, my desires, whatever. I pretty much start most of my days at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Some people go, you mean there's 2 of those in one day? There are. And what I try to do is I try to make sure that I get up, that I go work out, I go to the gym, and I am a little bit different in the fact that I don't use a lot of music. You can, from time to time I will, but primarily what I do is I use that workout time for my body, but I use it also for my mind, not only to relieve some stress, but to listen to podcasts. And a lot of the podcasts, I listen to different ones. Some of them are sermons, some of them are leadership, some of them are pastoral ministry, whatever. But it seems like so many of them, even the ones that are done by pastors that are talking about leadership, they do it from a marketplace kind of view. Now, nothing wrong with that, right? But what I know is that pastoring has a different rhythm than marketplace leaders. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just different. That's all that it is. And so for me, one of the things that I know and I love best is I love the life that God has called me to live. I love what God has asked me to do. I love being involved in ministry. I usually tell people I don't know that I really work. I just live life. That's kind of ministry, is learning to live life within a rhythm. And so I wanted to start this podcast at the encouragement of some other people. I wanted to start it to narrow the focus from a broad leadership perspective. There are things that marketplace leaders might learn along the way, but I really wanted to narrow the focus from leadership down to the pastoral life. And we're going to look at topics such as what it means to be a good pastor, what does pastoring look like, pastoring with people, what are the joys and difficulties. We're going to talk about preaching from time to time. That's always a fun one. I love preaching. I'm a part of a cohort right now, and so I'm excited about that, hanging out with some of those guys about twice a month or so. We're going to talk about pastoring, preaching, administrative stuff that we do. Um, I also enjoy that. I just enjoy life, and so, but I know this, that I'm not learning. I'm not done learning, I should say. I'm not done learning. I've been doing this for about 30 years. I love every minute of it. I have learned a few things along the way, primarily through mistakes, primarily through bad choices. But I have also, decided that I want to continue learning, that I want to continue moving forward. That's why we talk about growing and learning and moving forward together. I want to learn from you in this moment. And so, and then on top of that, the fourth subject really that will cover all throughout different podcasts, webcasts, whatever you call them, is talking about family life. I am married to the most amazing woman in the universe. I love Tina. She is more than a blessing to me. She is a dream come true. We have 4 amazing kids, 2 daughters-in-law or 2 daughters-in-love. I love them. I love all of them. And I tell people that Tina gets all the credit for the good, and I can take credit for the not as good. In fact, I've told my kids, I will be the inspiration for your therapy one day. So those are 4 areas, right? We're talking about pastoring, preaching, administrative, and the actual life of a pastor along the way. All right, so that's why we're doing it. Why do we call it the Pastor's Notebook? And this is really what I want to cover for the day. I have this friend, once again, I'm telling you, I continue to learn. I have this friend whose name is Kevin. Kevin pastors a growing church. He pastors a church where they're baptizing people pretty much almost every week. And I'm not talking about just one person. Many times it's several people per week. He's a great leader. He's a great preacher. But one of the things that he and I have known each other for years, one of the things that I've noticed over those years is that I always see him carrying some kind of notebook, right? Some kind of notebook, whether it's pen and paper. I think he's pretty much gone to the iPad now where he's taking notes. And I'll just tell you right up front, just to be completely honest, I, it's just me. Most podcasts have somebody else alongside and they're kind of interviewing this person or that person. I get it. But this is just me trying to tell you what I have learned, what I am learning, what I hope to learn. And as I've watched Kevin over the years that we've known each other, he always has a way to take notes. Always. Every time I see him, it's right there. And so as I've been watching him, taking these notes, I've talked to him about taking notes. I've even talked to him. He says, listen, I tell my staff every week, you need to make sure and take notes. You need to make sure and have a way to take notes. There's something about being a learner. Most of the time, we hear the phrase that leaders are learners and that learners are readers, leaders are readers. But I think one of the other things is learning to take notes. So he's always telling his staff that they need to do that. And so I've started doing it. It's one of those things that I've never been good at from the very beginning. I didn't do well in middle school, high school, a little bit better in college, but it's just not my norm. But I'm trying to learn. And there are three things just to start off today that I have learned. Number one, that it changes your posture before you ever get into the room, before you ever get into a meeting. I try to go to different conferences per year, and I always take something to take notes, right? So I can write all this stuff down and kind of get it back together. There's something about your posture. It's a posture of humility. You and I both know maybe you're like this, maybe you're not, I don't know, but our world is filled with people who want to share their opinions, who want to share their thoughts. They've got so much to share. But sometimes I wonder if they've got anything to learn, right? Because they want to share everything that's on their mind. And there's something about entering the room with a notebook, with an iPad, with your phone ready to take notes, whatever, that it just simply begins to change your mentality. That you enter the room ready to learn. That you enter the room ready to take in what's going to be talked about. And honestly, you may not be the smartest person in the room. You may be. I think the smartest people in the room recognize that they always have something to learn. I think the people that are truly wanting to better themselves are always going, what can I learn? I need to take some notes. I need to make sure and know this or know that, however that works. And so, the very first thing that I'm just telling you that I'm learning about taking notes is that it changes you before you ever get into the room, before it just sets the mood for you. Now, I will tell you that it changes you while you're inside the room, right? Changes you inside the room because when you're in the room, you're holding your notebook, you're holding your iPad, and you know your body knows that you're ready to learn. You're taking notes because it helps you pay attention. You're taking notes because it keeps your mind focused. You're taking notes because it engages you into the conversation even when you're not speaking. Now, to be honest, yesterday we had kind of our quarterly staff fun day. We just had a quick staff meeting, took care of the necessities, and then we went and just had some fun. One of the conversations that we had when we were just kind of connecting there was we were talking about how a lot of people will notice when the guy or the gal who's running the slides for your Sunday service, right, and the music that's being sung, or maybe for your preaching, sometimes they don't always keep up. And this is not to blame them because they get more blame than they deserve. But what we were talking about is how easy it is to simply zone out. You don't even realize when you've zoned out. You don't even realize when you've spaced out. You could be listening intently to a preacher or whoever it is, and all of a sudden it's your grocery list, right? Or it's your dog or something like that jumps into your mind, and then you have to go, oh, wait, I'm here. There's something about taking notes that while you're in the room, it helps you to pay attention, keeps your mind focused, and engages you in the conversation. So the first of all, it changes you before you get there, it changes you while you're there, but then I really believe it begins to change you and help you prepare for when you leave the room. for when you leave the meeting, right? Because when you leave the room after taking notes, you then have stuff to go back to. You have things that you can now remember. When you leave the room after taking notes, you have this record of what went on. Once again, I've already said this and I'll say it again, that it's not my norm. It's not my normal rhythm. I'm trying to really learn. I've been trying to learn it for a couple of years now. I'm getting better than I've ever done. I'm always got some kind of goals that I'm working towards, and this is one of those goals. And currently, I'm now taking it on my notepad. That's what I'm doing. That's where I'm taking my notes. I went to a staff member a couple of weeks ago and said, "Hey, I've been using a notebook, but I really want to use this notepad. What do you use? How do you use it?" They showed me real quick. This is how you take it. This is how you write with it. This is how you erase it. All of that kind of stuff. But for me, this is what's helping me, is that when I get back to my office, I typically go through those notes that I just wrote, right? Wrote them there, and then I have to format them into text. I could leave it like that, but it just kind of makes sense to formulate it into text. So it takes a little bit to do that, and then you have to walk through that because inevitably the computer will not read all of my writing. So then I have to translate, how that's going to work out. So it's helping me to go back through the meeting, through the things that are going on. I know it's not crazy efficient, but that's what's happening. And then I create a file, put it on my computer. I take it off my iPad. Yes, I've got whatever kind of storage on my iPad that I need, but there's something about putting it in a file that I go, this is where I can find it. Boom, in a hurry, I can do that. So it helps me. And then what happens? Because I've not only have taken the notes, I've had to reformat them, and then I've created a file. It also creates my to-do list. It helps me know what to follow up, when to follow up. I set dates, all of that kind of stuff. And so this, as a leader, is a good thing for me because it's helping me to become better all the way around. So taking notes, 3 things that it does, right? Number 1, before you walk in the room, it sets your mindset where it needs to be. It sets your posture of learning. It's a humility kind of thing. Number 2, when you're in the room, you become more focused. You're more engaged. You know what's going on. You don't zone out so much. And number 3, when you leave the room, it literally equips you and readies you for the next steps of life and ministry as you move forward. Listen, I hope that has helped you. A couple of quick questions, because once again, we want to learn, grow, and go together. So do you take notes? Why or why not? What do you find good about it? Did I miss anything? And if you do take notes, do you use pen and paper? Do you use pencil and paper? Do you use an iPad? What app do you use? Is it Notability? Is it Evernote or OneNote, or is it the Mac Apple version of Notes? What do you use? I'd love to know. It helps me become better as I'm trying to help you become better. All right. So I hope that helps you understand. This is the first episode. It helps you understand my goals for myself, for you, all of that kind of stuff. I want to learn. I hope you want to learn. I want to grow. I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't want to ever become stagnant. So that's why I'm doing some of this kind of stuff, right? And once again, we're covering the whole pastor's life. And that means there's stuff about preaching, there's stuff about pastoring, there's stuff about administrating, there's stuff about just living. And we're going to cover those. I will do a lot of it, but from time to time, I'm going to bring some people in. From time to time, I'm going to share what I'm reading, what I'm learning. I'm going to share different podcasts. I'd love to hear your podcast, all this stuff. I want to make sure that we're interacting together, because this is really going to be good. It's going to be good for me, I know, and I'm praying that it's going to be good for you. So remember, the next episode comes out next Tuesday. If you would make sure to subscribe, rate, review, interact, share it with a friend, share it with a bunch of friends, right? And say, hey, there's this guy and he wants to learn something, let's help him, whatever it is. That way we can learn, we can grow, and we can go forward together in ministry and life. My name is Jason Caddy. I'm just glad to be a part of it all. Never ever forget, my friends, you are loved. Take care.